What is happening, you Titans fans? Today is a victory video because as of like 40 minutes ago, Tennessee Titans have reportedly agreed to a contract with good old DeAndre Hopkins, Nuke, as some people call him, which I don't understand that nickname, but Nuke. But yeah, Titans have not officially, but everywhere's already reported it. And there's already a video of somebody asking Mike Vrabel about it today because he's golfing. And Vrabel like, I knew about it yesterday. So like it's not officially official, but it's official. DeAndre Hopkins going to the Titans on a 2-year deal, which I also liked because I didn't want a 1-year deal because then I was like, if he's just a 1-year deal, if he'll be this year, gone the next, we'll be right back to where we were beforehand. Sorry about the brief interruption. But what I was basically getting at is if we sign him to a 1-year deal and Treylon Burks has like 750 yards, then suddenly next year, here we are, we have just Treylon Burks who had 750 yards, and you have no number 1 or 2. You have one, maybe not the other. And the wide receiver position's right back to where it was. But I like the idea of a 2-year deal because I've said it time and time again, DeAndre Hopkins has a skill set that ages extremely well because he's crafty, has a great hands, kind of the push-off master, if you remember correctly. He gets away with push-off.
It's funny you say that because, yes, I couldn't stand him playing against him, which we did a lot, him being used to. Because if you ask me, I just feel like he pushed people off all the time, never got called, and I don't know why.
I think he just found a loophole in the rule because to be a push-off, your arm has to be completely locked.
Well,
and he pushes people and stops right there, where there's just like the littlest little bit.
If I'm being honest, I just feel like he got away with a bunch of horrible push-offs. But now that he's for us, now it's going to help. But, yeah, I hated playing against this guy. Now, granted, I know he's not going to be the D-Hop of old. But, hopefully he could come in here and give us at least somewhat of a second option.
Yeah, I agree. And to me, it just changes a lot in that respect because it just knocks everyone down a peg. Because Treylon Burks, I think he can be a number 1, but we technically only have 400 yards worth of NFL film to actually collaborate. You know what I'm trying to say. So not great. So he could slide in at number 2. Chris Moore being number 3. He's now technically a backup now because that puts Chris Moore and Nick Westbrook-Akina as backups now. We got Kyle Phillips in the slot, and then our starting 2 X and Z wide receivers, Treylon Burks, DeAndre Hopkins. To me, wide receiver was our biggest position of need, and we just addressed it in a good, big way.
Yeah, it makes it a little more difficult to game plan against us because I think I said this to you, not on camera, but I said this to you a couple of days ago, that honestly, I would love to be a defensive coordinator and play against the Titans because you don't even have to watch tape. You just put everyone in the box, double books, and then you shut us down. But now at least you don't have enough people to completely put everyone in the box and just double books because now you have Hopkins would go off. Or if you double Hopkins, then maybe hopefully the books would go off. So I just feel like now that just adds one more wrinkle to our very bland offense that it's going to be at least a little more difficult to strategize against us, which is always good.
Yeah, I completely agree. And honestly, Burks hasn't necessarily proven that he needs double teams.
Yeah, I agree with that.
With just Burks, put your number 1 corner on Burks and stack the ever-loving heck out of the box, and we're nothing. We're nothing.
Yes, I completely agree. But so this hopefully changes all of that.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying us bringing in DeAndre Hopkins gives us a top 10 wide receiver core. I'm not saying
absolutely
that, but it takes us to the 20s to at least league average, I would say, in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. I would definitely not say we're a top 10 or anything, but when you have Derrick Henry, I don't think you have to be top 10. Now, granted, it never hurts to have 2 pieces. Don't get me wrong. I would love to be a top 10 receiver and then Derrick Henry. But, with Derrick Henry and people still going to stack the box, if we could be this average receiving core, they could put up good receiving yards just because they're all single coverage.
Yeah. I mean, just like, let's just be honest, because I was literally thinking about it today, like literally less than an hour before he actually got signed here. I was just thinking in my head, I'm like, if we don't get DeAndre Hopkins, are we really ready to trot Chris Moore out there like he's somebody?
Yep.
Come on, man. I mean, yeah, he was. If he was on our team last year, he would have been our number one wide receiver with 540 yards. I think is what he had last year. That was a career high for him, and he's 30 years old. I'm just thinking, our offense is just gonna. Tim Kelly's gonna have to work some magic for our offense to be anything.
Yeah. What I like though is D Hop. He knows Vrabel. He knows Kelly from Houston days. So it's a good fit, and don't get me wrong. And I was looking at it, don't get me wrong. I believe the Titans probably offer him the most money. That's probably 90% why Hopkins is signing for us. But he also knows the head coach well. He knows the OC well. So I just feel like it's a good fit for him, and maybe you could make the argument if he wanted to get a Super Bowl ring, he should probably go somewhere else. But at the end of the day, other than the Bills, Chiefs, maybe a couple other teams, I feel like Titans made the most sense for him.
Yeah, but because that's one thing I always thought. Because it's basically the whole time it was basically down to the Titans and Patriots. They're the first teams that reached out to him, the only teams that had him for a visit, and the only teams that kept checking in on him. And in my mind, the Patriots never made sense to me. Like if you were gonna cough up some money like that to go for a big name free agent, I just don't understand why. Like wide receiver wasn't like a huge position of need. And, and so they weren't going to, and obviously, apparently, they weren't paying him as much as Titans were offering. So if they weren't going to pay him, they didn't need him as bad. And they have, in my opinion, even a lower ceiling just because of their division. So I feel like there was literally nothing, no reason why the Patriots would have made sense for D-Hop.
I mean, I get why the Patriots doing it. I mean, you got a young quarterback, Mac Jones, who you have not done a good job giving him weapons. D-Hop would be a good weapon. He catches really well, so that would make sense. But for D-Hop, I agree with you. I don't know if that would make much sense for him. I'm glad he's in Tennessee. But now we can start speculating. What does he equal to? Does he equal as one win, a win and a half, 2 wins, no wins? Like, what would you bump this up for a Titan now that we signed him?
Now, I'm not going to go too far into it because I think our next video will probably be what we think, basically our season prediction. Something like that. We might do like I've seen a lot of other channels do where we do a worst case scenario and a best case scenario. Make them 2 separate videos. I just had autocorrect go over my head. It said vehicles instead of videos. But anyways, so I might do something like that. So I'm not going to get too in depth with it. But like in my mind, I basically had him about 500-ish without him. But with him, I could easily see right smack in the dab somewhere like a 10-7. All right. Now us having one of the 28th easiest schedule.
Yeah, one thing that I think is a question mark: can he / Treylon Burks stay healthy? Can they play all the games? Because that matters. Because if one gets hurt, we're back to where we was, with just one weapon.
It was like in 2021 when Julio Jones, shocker, was out. Then A.J. Brown did something to his chest against the Texans. So he missed the Texans game, plus he got put on IR and missed 3 games after that. So we didn't have A.J. Brown or Julio Jones. And that's when we had Nick Westbrook, Akina, Des Fitzpatrick. Like these were our starting wide receivers. And it's just.
And the problem, though, is you got to admit, even with D-Hops, we are still very thin.
We're thin.
Position.
We're thin. Agreed. And now whenever at this point, I'll tell you right now, I like our starters. I think Treylon Burks could be a dog. I like DeAndre Hopkins. I still think he has some in the tank. And Kyle Phillips, if he could, I think, be a really good slot receiver. But Treylon Burks missed what? 7 games? 6, 7?
Missed a lot. He had a toe injury, right? And then concussion.
The concussion. And then Kyle Phillips, he played in like 3 games last year. And then DeAndre Hopkins, I'm not as worried about him at the moment. But at the same time, he did 1 year in with the Cardinals. He missed a little bit of chunk of time, I remember.
And also, just as he gets older, you just never know how his body's going to react.
So yeah, we're just 1 injury away from being back to. But let's be honest, we had Cody Hollister starting a lot for us last year.
That's shameful.
It is. When we were marching out Robert Woods, who I don't know what happened to him. He was horrible. We had Robert Woods walking out there with Cody Hollister and maybe some. No, we even had that C.J. Board. We had C.J. Board start at wide receiver first 1 game. People, you might not even remember who he is, but I can tell you about most NFL has no idea who a C.J. Board is. So. So yeah, I'm excited about that. There's one little piece of news that's probably going to come out in the next couple of days. Is if they're actually, here's another thing I forgot to even tell you. I told you it was a 2-year deal, but then I got off on a tandem about me liking it being a 2-year deal. But it's a 2-year, $26 million with incentives up to 32. So basically, the way it sounds to me, like you can get up to 15 this year, and then next year you can get up to 17. Is what it sounds like to me. Which I think is reasonable. I think it's extremely reasonable, especially when like Odell Beckham Jr. got his 1 year, was it $16 million?
That's a lot of money
For somebody who hasn't really played much football and hasn't played football at a high level. And honestly, I think 2018 was the last time he had a 1,000-yard season.
Well, I agree, but he played amazing in the playoffs and Super Bowl before he got hurt for the Rams, and that was the healthiest he's been in a while. So I think he showed that he can still play well if healthy. But the question is, how is he going to look with 2 ACLs in the same leg?
And missing all of last year.
Yes.
Yeah. So, anyways, so I like that deal. But one thing is, if his base salary is $12 million, which is what they're saying in year one, I think we only have $7 million in cap. So something's going to happen, whether we extend Byard, because by extending somebody who's got a big cap hit, that lowers your cap hit for this year because you give them a signing bonus. So either extending Byard, extending Tannehill, which I would be
I wouldn't want that.
Extending Henry, which I would be okay with giving Henry another year.
Didn't he just no, he did. I thought extended last year. He didn't get extended, right? He just got a pay raise.
Yeah, we just gave him a little reshuffle of the deal there, which gave him like $2 more million this year, or last year, I guess it would have been. But and then the last one is we could restructure Harold Landry, but I don't know if I want to start messing with his money already. So if we start doing that to him already, by like year 3 of his new contract, he'll be having like a cap hit that's just so stupid high. Where we're like, I like him, he's good, but do we really want to be giving him like $27 million a year because of all these restructures? Because that's why Kevin Byard's making $19 million a year. He was technically only doing like $12-ish million a year when we first signed him the deal, but we keep restructuring him and pushing money down the road. So now he's got a cap hit of $19 million, and that's fine. I don't want to do that. I'm not sure if I want to do that with Landry.
I tell you what, he better stay healthy this year.
Yeah, okay.
He gets paid way too much to be sitting on his butt. But anyway, yeah. So here's a question: Hopkins, 1,000 yards or no? As you're thinking, I'm gonna answer that, and I'm gonna say no, just because. And of course, this is hard to answer because you don't know what Kelly's offense is gonna be looking like. You don't know how much he's gonna throw. But I still think we're gonna run the rock. With too much to have a 1,000-yard season, to have 2 1,000-yard receivers, and I feel like one of them, either Hopkins or Treylon Brooks, is going to have a 1,000-yard season, and I'm just gonna be leaning more towards Treylon Brooks. And that he's gonna probably an AJ Brown season was just above 1,000, and then Hopkins is gonna have 700 to 800, maybe 9, but I'm gonna say 700 to 800.
But think about it. If he was 800 as our number 2, our number 1 was like 535 or something last year from.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so, yeah. Would that be fair assessment, or what do you say?
Yeah, instead of 900 yards from a number 2 wide receiver, I think it's definitely good. It's not like every team has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins that are both going to go over 1,000 yards every single season. I'll tell you this right now. If it was, what's that guy's name? Todd Downing. If it was Todd Downing's offense, I would say no shot. And this might have been one of my least favorite things about Todd Downing was he did not make any effort whatsoever to actually make somebody part of a game plan. He just had a call sheet. This is the routes that's being ran, and this is call to play. Like, he never fed the ball to certain people. If that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping Tim Kelly tries to feed D-Hop some. If he feeds D-Hop, then that's good. I absolutely think he could sniff 1,000. Yeah, I don't see him put 1,400, but remember last year, if he took his suspension away, he was on pace to be 1,400 yards last year.
Yeah.
So I think he could do it. I'm gonna say he's right at 1,000.
Okay.
Either low 900s or high 900s or low 1,000s. Yeah.
I also don't think, though, in a way, the 6-game suspension probably helped him be fresh and come back strong when the defenses he's going against is tired. So I think that may have, in a way, helped him. Like his projection to 1,400, I don't think he probably would be sniffing that if he was playing the whole season, to be honest. But we'll see. I think, assuming he's going to play, week 1, I don't think he'll be playing at that high of a level. Also, I just don't know if he'll throw that much, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, because we honestly have no idea what Tim Kelly offense is going to look like.
But again, one thing that should help is Hopkins should be able to hit the ground running a little bit because he knows Kelly. You know what I mean? So
also, one thing to combat a little bit against that, him being suspended last year helped him, is he also played a lot with Colt McCoy last year. So there's that as well.
yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. That was just a brief little reaction video about the DeAndre Hopkins signing. So excited.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say?
No, I think I covered it all. I think this helps a lot. Helps us a little bit. As long as he stays healthy. Again, like you said, he hasn't been hurt that much, but you never know. If he can stay healthy, we have him and Brooks and Henry. Our offense is a lot better. Just no way around it.
Yep, I agree. So we'll holler back at y'all later, and peace out and all that jazz.